Last time on Trials of Mana.
I'm a dog. Oh no, even her subtitles have a speech impediment.
Yeah.
Just like,
I'm ready to fight!
And then a monster fights. Let's go, motherfucker!
Episode 4, The Legend of the Sword.
Alright folks, welcome back to some more Trials of Mana. In the last part we saw Charlotte's backstory, so now we have Charlotte on the team. It's Kevin and Charlotte.
you know, something about her backstory is also annoying.
Annoying,
Like,
okay.
When someone's like, listen, I have a really dangerous job to do, and they're like, I'm coming with you. And they're like, no, it's dangerous. Do not come with me. And then, like, they leave, whether they leave on their own or they've been kidnapped or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the little kid goes anyway, and then they just get in the way.
Yeah. Yeah, Charlotte's very much just in the way.
Yeah, and I'm like, listen, kid. Like, he said do not follow me, and because you followed him, you got him kidnapped.
Pretty much. Maybe she'll develop and learn a lesson. I'm not gonna bet on it.
Because, like, I do have the thought process that she's like, this is my fault. Like, she has
Yeah.
guilt about it.
Okay.
But it's also like, yeah, it is your fault.
Yep. Okay, so now that we have like another member, we can just swap at any time. With like, I believe it's like one of the shoulder buttons.
Yeah.
You can just swap in it. Makes very interesting fluid combat,
See,
which is something the original didn't have.
when I
like,
was playing, I'm really bad with controllers that have a lot of buttons.
yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
But, like, I would be in combat, like, fighting, and all of a sudden I'd be nowhere near the bad guy, and, like, my character would just die, and I'm like, what happened? And I would have, like, switched characters halfway through.
Well, what's nice is like when your character dies, you can just switch to the next one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like all
Yeah.
three have to die for a game over. But what's funny is Ys 8, the one about like the hero stuck on the island that I really want to get back to playing.
Oh, okay, the one.
It has very similar controls, but different enough to where I'll hit the wrong button. Because I'll be like, oh, this is dodge in Trials of Mana, but this is to switch characters in Ys. So I'll constantly like switch characters when I want to dodge, or dodge when I want to switch characters, and it's just like, shit, I get confuzzled. It's like that comedian that's just like, you get panicked. You're hitting buttons, they put crouch in the different buttons, and suddenly your man is wandering around the battlefield for no good reason.
Yeah, I really like that comedian. I cannot remember his name, but that skit was fantastic.
He's Scottish.
It's basically he's saying how, like, you can be bad at playing video games and it will punish you. You cannot be bad at reading a book. The book will not punish you if you are bad at reading.
What are the major themes of the book so far? Well, I don't know. Oh, Jesus, come on.
Like, he's just a really funny dude. I'll have to find him and post him on Facebook.
Yeah, he's hilarious. But he did the one about, like, this is gaming. Oh, I'm in an epic gun battle. Which button isn't crouch?
Which button isn't crouch?
He's like, you get panicked with all the intense action going around, and then suddenly your man is just wandering on the battlefield for no good reason.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. The way, like, so the way my brain functions, you'll say a phrase, and I just, like, get tossed back into this really weird random memory.
Okay.
From watching Max Magician, and that
Oh my
one
God.
guy just wandering in the background, and then, like, the third or fourth time he, like,
has a
passes through, he has a cloak on, like, oh, it's getting kind of chilly, better put a cloak on, like, but he really is just, like, wandering in the back, that's stutter. Pork pig here. Would I be Miss Piggy?
If you want.
I feel like I'm sassier than Porky, but I'm also not as mean as Miss Piggy.
Yeah, you're not as savage as Miss Piggy.
I feel like if you
Or
know,
as conceited as Miss
Yeah.
Piggy.
I hope not.
No.
My makeupless face, smeared mascara on my face right now says I'm not as conceited as Miss Piggy. I feel like we're the watered down version of Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog.
Okay. I don't much remember Kermit's personality. Was he just very relaxed and kind of like, whatever?
I think so. I think he was kind of relaxed. And then, like, Miss Piggy would be like, you're doing this! And he'd be like, I don't want to do it. And she'd be like, you're doing it. Okay.
Well, I guess so.
It's kind of funny.
Alrighty. But yeah, we
That
record
awkward
these.
silence.
Yeah, we always have awkward silence. It's just like, well, sometimes I just like go in those moments, like during the Pupcorn movies, where I just say something and then I just go someplace, and you can
Yeah,
see it in my
yeah,
face that I'm just
PTSD.
like not there, and I'm just like, sorry, I went someplace. I'm back now. But no, we record these early in the morning during the summer months because it gets
Oh my
hot
God,
as
it's
hell.
so hot.
So we let the AC run throughout the night,
And
get
then
up
the
early
room
in the
is nice and
morning.
cool.
So the room's nice and cool, and we can do like 4 or 5 of these back to back.
Yeah.
Whereas on a hot day, even if we just have the AC
As
running
soon-
for a
yeah.
few hours, we turn it
It's
off.
like- and it's immediately
10 minutes
hot
into the
again.
first video, we're just like,
I look at you and there's sweat dripping off your mustache.
Yeah.
Like, you look at me and you can see my soul leaving my body.
basically, you're just like,
I'm gonna die.
I'm like, is there like a Dementor hovering above her or what?
I know, I'm a way less tolerant of the heat than you are.
Yes.
Like, you can sit there and be like, yeah, it's kind of hot. And I'm like, I'm dying! Like, I hate the summertime.
Oh, I just bought sheep pajamas for Charlotte.
Aw. It's kind
She
of
gets her little jammies. Maybe the little bunny slippers like Pee-wee.
Oh, we just watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It was one of my favorite movies growing up.
Well, it's because we got a Tim Burton kick going on
Yeah.
because at the time of this video, the Tim Burton video is in the works,
Yeah.
which most likely by the time this is uploaded, it should be done.
Yes. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But whenever I was little, I didn't know Tim Burton directed Pee-wee.
Huh?
At least Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I mean, it's enough to like throw you off, but knowing that knowledge now, it's obvious.
Yeah, like when you watch it, there are certain scenes where you're like, oh my god, Tim Burton. Just like they might as well have slapped.
So she can't come with because she left without telling her grandpa. So she's like, I can't be seen in there, so you go on ahead. And Kevin's like, okay.
He's like, okay, bye.
He's like, it's gonna be a lot quieter during this trek.
Yeah.
Hurrah for me.
Kevin's like booking it, and Charlotte just kind of like waddles behind him.
Yep. She's like, wait for me. And he's just like, I'd rather not. If I really want to. We already did this. Like, Kevin's like envious. It's just like, oh, Duran gets Angela.
Yeah.
Hawkeye gets Reese. I get the little twerp. This is fair.
I mean, it makes sense. Like he's a kid.
So, like, one thing I did notice, if you look very carefully on the priest.
Carl, bring
Come
Carl
on.
back. Friend,
Just trying to notice this
he's my
tiny
only
little
friend.
detail.
Charlotte's on the sidewalk, like fuck me, I guess.
His little mustache, he does twitch a little bit where his mouth would be.
Okay.
Just a little bit. You can see it like kind of like bounce. It's not like the whole mustache or the beard,
Yeah.
but like where the mouth flap
It
would
would
be,
be.
it does like jiggle a little bit.
Okay. I'll have to see it like front facing.
Yeah, when he shows the front face, you can like really see it.
Because like they move their upper bodies so much.
Yeah. Well, they're very like gesture heavy,
Yeah.
How new life begins.
which
Though
is
Carl
very
cannot
common in
return to
Japanese
his
See, I
games that are
feel like I
dubbed.
want, you know, see how it's like split into two sides so
Yeah.
that it's symmetrical? I
Mhm.
want those to move apart when he talks.
No, that'd be
You know what I mean?
that'd be awesome.
But
Symmetry.
Symmetry.
he's
We
We
have
were-
not gotten the third
the
one,
memory of
the
him
third
alive
manga
in
for
your
Soul Eater
heart.
in yet, and
I
it's really
know.
upsetting. I like look
And someday
every week.
Carl
Aw.
may be
I'm really
reborn into
curious
life
about like
again.
the intended ending of Soul Eater because I was not on board with the anime's ending.
You could tell like the moment where they derailed from what the manga would have been.
this
Mhm.
is the king's fault.
Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones. It's like a
Yeah.
very like obvious change where it's like,
To Carl.
huh, this feels off.
Yeah.
And then like it ended, and I was just like, really?
I mean,
And then I
like,
looked, and I was just like, oh, that's so much better.
Yeah. Like it happens a lot, which is why they have like One of them is like Blue Exorcist. You haven't watched it yet. It's on our list of ones to watch.
Without the mana
But like Blue Exorcist has an original one where things are a little different because the original story wasn't done yet. And then they have Blue Exorcist Kyoto,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of the equivalent of Sailor Moon from the 90s and Sailor Moon Crystal.
And Helsing Ultimate.
Yes.
Okay.
So where it's like they finished it and they're like, wow, that was really different than what we did. We should do that one. Like, but you can't just like get rid of the old one because the old ones also have like their own certain charm.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm sorry.
But I think what's interesting in the case of Soul Eater is, like, from what I've gathered, it follows it so close until,
and
like,
then it just is
they
like-
get ahead.
Yeah.
Then it's just like, well, let's try this. And it's just like, well, anyway, it's a story.
Yeah. Like, well, we went there.
Better now.
It
Like
certainly
the
is a
only
story.
thing that I
Made it to
really,
Wendel.
really enjoyed
Do not
about
need me anymore.
the
so
anime versus like the way the
to the
manga
old
ended
man
was the
instead.
dialogue
Okay.
from
would that I were able
oh my
to
gosh, I
bear
just
your
lost his name.
burden.
The bad guy.
However, once a fairy finds out,
Azura.
they are
Ashura.
bound to the
Ashura.
Ashura. There we go.
life.
Ashura.
Only death
I mean, you know, if we make enough sounds similar enough.
Azrilla.
Don't need a
Godzilla?
mana
Godzilla. That's
I
where
need
we're
revenge
getting to, I guess.
on the one who hurt Carl.
But the nice thing about games
distracted.
is, like, with remakes, they, especially this one, like, it's very similar to the original with the dialogue and all that stuff. It's verbatim, just like translated, bop bop.
Yeah, it just has updated
One
like
to the
graphics
other.
and gameplay.
However, the original English dub was a fan translation.
Stronger than
So the Benevodons were called God Beasts.
Really?
Okay.
Beast of the Gods. Whereas I guess the official name of them is
the sword of
Benevodons. And it
mana?
took people a while to accept that because it's just like,
sword of
I've
mana
spent the last
is
10
the
years
embodiment
calling them God Beasts
ancient
because a
power
fan translated
Yeah.
it, and that was the only way we could get it was through a fan translated emulation.
Well, and that's
It is
also
an
the
alternate form of
the
golden
difficulty with
wand
translations
used to create the
is
world
it
itself.
could like directly translate
one
to
who
God
holds the
beasts
mana
from
sword
another language,
gains
but that's not the
awesome
intended
power.
Right.
meaning they were going for.
Sword lies in the roots of the
And like
mana
that's
tree.
very common in early RPGs and even like A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
Like early Zelda games, they just got botched with translations.
Well,
the
it's
mana
like
tree
you
was
have
'Cause, like-
even direct translations don't always make sense. So like in English we have cat got your tongue. Like if you're tongue tied or you can't say something, oh what, cat got your tongue?
Yeah.
Whereas in French, they like it translates that same meaning of like I can't speak or I'm like
Get that
dumbfounded
sword.
for words. They say is there a frog in your throat? Oh, you have a
Gotcha.
frog in your
Frog
throat?
in your throat. Yep.
So like if you
Where is
directly translate them, they're different, but
Sanctuary of
the
mana.
meaning is the same.
Gotcha.
I'm so sorry.
So
And like, and I'm
And I
not gonna
can-
dive too much into
you can
it,
only
but
imagine translating from
religion
language
and
with
cultural
completely
differences
different
is
alphabets.
another reason for like changes in games.
yeah.
Like A Link to the Past, I'll give that example because it's the easiest one to think of. Like the villain is a corrupted priest in Japan. America
Okay.
didn't like that, so they changed him
course
to
they
a dark wizard.
Mana stones.
But in the original Japanese, it is a holy priest corrupted by dark magic.
I feel like they're less sensitive about it. Like
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
the U.S. would be like, "What? You can't make fun of that!" And then they just like shut it down.
Should know
Th-
that
they're more open to the experimentation of just like religion is corruptible just like anything else, and like it is.
Anything with
as the
humankind
mana
is corruptible.
goddess
Yeah.
began her
Whereas like American culture took a while to accept that, and it still doesn't really accept
Could you
that.
imagine if Wesker,
ages
if people
past,
were like, "That's it,
there
humans
once
can't
was
run
an
religion,
ancient
like
spell
we
used
corrupt
to
too easily,"
control
and then they're just like
energy
dogs.
from the
Dogs
mana
will run
stones
religion. Could you see him in like a little poke
to
hat,
the use
Aw,
just being like, "Woof."
However,
the Archdeacon Wesker.
allow each other any control of the spell.
But
His
look at
little
Disney. They tried it, and like they had to make so many changes with Hunchback.
Unspeakable damage.
Yeah.
like Frollo originally was the Archdeacon,
Right.
and Disney split that character into two separate characters to make it easier for American audiences to swallow.
I think it did work though. Like, I don't think it was done willy-nilly, which I do kind of talk about. We have, at the time we're recording this, it isn't available yet, but it will be here in the next couple of days. A Hunchback of Notre Dame video. So, and I do talk about that in the video, just briefly, as to, not have a 8-hour video, because I could definitely go into a lot more details. But it's not as exciting for many people. But I think Disney did a good job on that, because even though they changed the character, the corrupted character was originally a religious official, and they switched it to a political official. It still works within the historical context of the movie because of Gallicanism.
Yep.
Of the split of the church and the state being like, you know what, we don't really like that rule, so we're not going to follow it. And the church is like, well, I mean, okay, like there's nothing technically that they can do about it. So there was a lot of divide between those two. So I don't think it was detrimental to split that character and make Frollo a political figure rather than a religious figure.
And you know what I'm pondering now? I wonder if this game was delayed so long because of like Charlotte's story being like one with the church and religious, the holy city of Wendel. Like, we don't know where that story's going. Like, does it take some risk that audiences in America would have found like, ugh, at the time?
Honestly, I feel like at this
during
point,
like the
people
mid-90s,
need to get over it.
This
Like,
was originally released in the 90s,
Yeah.
though. So, like, that was just
well,
a different
we're way
time
more
than
sensitive
today.
than we were then. With like, oh my goodness,
Some
you
things
can't
yes,
offend
others no.
anyone. Like, which is
It depends
a shame.
on like the angle you're looking at, but yeah, there is.
The only reason because I'm easily offended by a lot of things. You know that more than anyone because you live with me.
Yes.
But you can be offended and still like learn from it,
Yeah.
because honestly, like, if you find something that triggers you or upsets you, it lets you know that's something you can work on within yourself.
True.
So it's like, why does this upset me?
I
Why
can
does
finally
this
get this
bother me?
chest.
Ah! And then you can fix it. So it's like, but if we just shut down everything that could possibly be offensive, no one is going to learn or grow or learn anything about themselves. So it's just an unfortunate situation.
You make an excellent point.
That was a little too heavy. Let's
Just a
lighten it
little.
up.
So, I do want to pose a question to our viewers. When it comes to games like this that have like cutscenes and stuff, do you want us
To
to
shut up?
just shut up and we'll just let the clip play and I'll just kind of like stop recording and like resume? Or are you okay with just like hearing our banter during the cutscenes for the most part?
Sometimes it's hard for us to shut up, and
That's
sometimes it's hard for
the
us to sit
reason-
here with each other in silence.
That's basically what I'm getting at. It's just like sometimes we're having a very nice conversation and some nice chemistry, like very good topics at hand, and I don't want it to just be cut dead because a cutscene is playing. That if someone really wanted to, they could either A, play the game themselves, or B, just find the entire thing without commentary. So the point of gaming Cats and Dogs is just like our experience playing the game, but with the door left open. So it's basically like a highlight into like
Quite literally,
how
the
we
dog
play
wandered
games.
in.
Yeah, the door's open now. The dog wandered in.
He's
But like,
sleeping.
it's just our time capsules in a way.
Yeah.
Like we're making memories just with the video game, so it's like kind of a blend of both. And most of the time we want to be on topic with what the game's presenting.
This is one
But every
of
once in a while we
the-
go, wee!
This is the
Off
first
to a
game
different
that
topic.
we've done in Gaming Cats and Dog that both of us have actually played it.
Yes.
Because for a lot of the time,
Don't leave
when
me
we're
behind.
initially doing a Gaming
I
Cats and
need to
Dogs,
save
I
Pete.
haven't played that game yet, or I
coming
haven't
with
seen
you,
that game yet, so it's
whether
my
you
first
like it
experience
or not.
of the game, along with some of our viewers.
Correct.
So, but this one it's a little easier to kind of like stray off topic because we've both played it, so I'm just like, yeah, I remember that anyway. Like,
Anyway, how about those
yeah.
lions?
I do really like this feature though, and I think more games should implement it. Like the loading screens is where they put their tips and tricks and things like
Yeah,
that.
that is a great feature. Dark Souls originated that. Because, like, for the longest time, there was just, like, artwork during a loading screen, or just, like, a character idling during a
Yeah.
loading screen. And Dark Souls was like, we have a very, like, cryptic game, and we don't want to bog you down with tutorials and characters
Yeah.
over-explaining. So we're going to give you little hints about what you can do throughout the game to get better, because Dark Souls is fuck you hard.
Yeah.
during the loading screens. And it clicked, and it's genius because you're sitting there anyway waiting for the area to load.
I still love that little guy.
So like you're always going to get a new tip. So it's like, oh, that's cool because Breath of the Wild does that.
Can I do that dance while I'm cooking and just like
Go for it.
waiting in the kitchen?
Next cooking video, I want like during the baking moment, just like you going.
You can't see it, but we're both doing what the guy in the background right now is doing. Future house goals is to look like these little houses. I want little heart windows on the door.
Okay. You showed me the one picture that looked very similar to
Yeah.
like Trials of Mana houses. And I was like,
So like I follow a lot of different pages on Facebook that are like old houses, historical homes, like just different people that like post their houses and things, and like they oftentimes will have pictures of like inside. Some of them are for sale, some of them are not for sale. And there was one, it's in like upstate New York.
okay.
And it needs some work, like it has some issues on the inside, but other than that it looks pretty sound. But it is the cutest little witchy cottage, like in the woods. It's so adorable. And it really does look like the houses here in Trials of Mana. Like it has that
It
same like
has-
Dutch aesthetic.
Yup, that's it.
But it's like kind of wonky, like it has the really steep house and like the little sections like jutting out of the house, like on the
Okay.
roof. And I'm just like, it's so cute.
See, I just saw it from afar and I'm just like, oh, cute.
Yeah,
And
it
like
was
I
really
really
cute.
like the wood aesthetic because I like
Yeah.
interior
It has round
wood
doors.
walls,
Yeah,
stuff like
the
that.
inside,
Round
the
doors, that's
inside,
cool.
The parts that don't need like fixed or updated
Mm-hmm.
are really cute. Like it has round doors. It has like really pretty wooden floors.
Well, I mean,
I know. As we
Everywhere
look
we
around
are
our
is
house,
like-
well, that needs fixed.
needs fixed updates.
Yeah, our house is very outdated.
Take down the enemy.
I'm not one that's like it needs updated.
When was it built?
1901.
Do you know? 1901. Okay, so very similar to when my grandparents' house was built.
Yeah. But at the time, for where we lived, this area was originally meant for like doctors and lawyers and things
Yeah.
like that, which is why the house is the size and style that it is.
Gotcha. Well, my grandfather, great-grandfather, I'm sorry, was a doctor.
Yeah.
So, and like he traveled to Africa and India and all that. And like he was a very well-known doctor. And that's why the house is like almost like a ranch. in a
Yeah.
way.
There's
Like
mana power
it's
coming
huge.
from the
Yeah, it is a
And
big
he-
house.
Was very anal about like keeping the property well kept.
Yeah.
But Luna
And
knows
like
in
he
there.
used to just lay out in the sun for like days on end. He'd just lay
God.
out in the sun.
Chris,
Eventually,
I would die.
in his 80s, he got sun cancer.
Oh,
The sun
From-
and the cancer literally ate his skin.
yeah. My dad's mom was like that. She straight off the boat from Ireland. So
And like
she was
I'm a
super-
6-year-old boy, and I'm just trying to understand
Yeah,
like
what's
why
going
there's
on.
like huge holes in my grandfather.
Yeah.
Like in his head, in his arms, like he just looked like something was like devouring him.
Yeah. Because it was.
Yes, it was.
Well, that's what happened to my nanny, my dad's mom. She was very, 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 very fair skinned. And she ended up getting skin cancer. And it ate like a whole arm.
Yeah.
Training.
And then they thought she went into remission, but the cancer had spread to her insides.
Ugh.
So, and then it just like slowly progressed from there. They just couldn't seem to get it out. So, this is why every time we go out to do yard work, I'm like, hey, sunscreen time, let's go.
Yeah, like about 15 years too late for me because I used to do roofing and
It's
stuff
never
like that
too
and
late.
just be like,
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
it's never too late to put on sunscreen to, you know, take care of your skin.
Good point. But you have to because even
Oh
if
my
you
God.
put on sunscreen,
I
you get
still burn.
burnt. You're just like, poof.
I drive down the street to the grocery store and get a sunburn.
I know you do. I didn't believe it at first because I was just like, yeah, that's
And then
a
you
funny
went with me and you
exaggeration.
saw it happen.
Because I just looked down and I was just like, who hit you?
Is that the hole? Fairy said we have
Who's
to
been
get
striking my lady?
Who hurt you? The
there. How
sun.
do we do that?
Nothing I can do about that. It's not like I can like walk up there and be like, hey, you want to smack my woman?
No. The sun.
I
The
can
sun
use the
hurts me.
residual
This
mana
is why I'm
power
very
from
much
the
like a fall and winter
to get you
person.
over there.
Because
Okay.
I love the daytime, and you know, of
give it a
course, who
try.
doesn't? Like
Mm-hmm.
vitamin D is a win. But it's just like a nuisance of I can't really get anything done because I burn so easily, but I also get like complete exhaustion so easily.
See, those two aren't my problem. My issue is I get bit.
Yeah.
I don't know
get
what
eaten
the
alive.
hell is up with your house, but like your backyard is infested with those little bastards.
This year is the worst it's ever been. We like take the trash out and put back in with mosquito bites. But it's also been a very wet summer.
Yeah, that is true.
And we do live like in the woods.
Now I'm trying to see her spells. I guess I'm not there yet. Because like eventually when I go on her like training wheel and give her new abilities, she'll learn actual spells. And Charlotte actually is the character that gets like the earliest healing spell. Whereas like Duran gets it when he becomes a paladin.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He gets healing light.
I mean, Reese gets healing spells pretty early. But
Oh yeah? Okay.
One down.
she's like
Is it dependent on her class or is it just
No.
dependent on like the skills you?
Yeah, it just depends on the skills I give
Okay.
her. I think like the only difference her class made was the strength of her spells too.
Okay.
Like she was just generally stronger.
Well, like your class also gives you a specific like overpowered skill, like you know that really powerful
Yeah,
attack.
hers was wind. Like for the one
Yeah.
that I chose, like her wind spells went crazy.
Defeat it quickly and move.
And
But I also chose the backpack because I like the costume.
yeah, that is a very neat costume. I have yet to see what Charlotte's costume would be.
I think hers mainly changed colors.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping like there's no like revealing like.
Oh my god, I'd be like, put it
I'd
down.
be like, ah,
This playthrough's
so-
over.
So that's why this game was never released before. No, it wouldn't be released today. A little child showing any skin whatsoever. I mean, the only skin this girl has is her cheeks. She doesn't have ankles, she doesn't have a neck,
Her hands are out.
and it's just like, I prefer it that way. We don't need none of that garbage.
Well, it does kind of, it goes with her character. Like, that's the issue I have with, like, Reese's costumes. They went with her character, and then they just stopped going with her character. They were like, hey, let's just put some pasties and a thong on her, and that'll be good. And I'm just like, no, that's not good. That's not her character. Like,
Oh yeah, I saw. It's like, do you want the Valkyrie
Yeah,
or
and
the
I'm just like,
Beastmaster?
well,
and you
like-
saw the Beastmaster and you went Valkyrie.
yeah, I was like, I mean, why?
Because like Valkyrie is more Teresa's character.
Exactly. Whereas, like, with
Beastmaster
Angela,
doesn't make sense.
Angela, it makes sense. Like, she is seeking attention. She wants people to look at her.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to be noticed because she's trying to get her mom to notice her.
Mm-hmm.
That's her whole story. And it's like, so for her, it makes sense. Reese is just like a goody two-shoes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense.
Point taken.
So we'll see next time.
Yep, next time we got a boss fight.
Boom. Toodles.
There it is. Can't end the video without Toodles.